go. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Documentary Club Live for Monday, October 28th. It's nice to see everybody out there. Have a couple guests with me today. Usual hangers-ons, barnacles. What's the word that you would prefer to be called? Groupie. Katie and Susan,
Just call
welcome
me
to
a
the
group.
show.
Jeff Jones groupie.
You're
Yeah.
a groupie?
I want to be a barnacle.
Doesn't that sound cool?
Yeah, real cool.
Yeah, I like that word, barnacle. You're not necessarily bad, but but barnacles do kind of slow the boat down. I've heard that. You know,
Well,
you
that
get enough of
applies.
them. You get enough hangers-ons.
My YouTube isn't showing that we're live yet.
Oh,
I just
Oh.
refreshed it. Is it?
Well, there's a little delay, and mine says we've been on for a minute and a half, but I'll check anyway.
Okay.
I will also check the to ensure that we are. But what do you guys? Yeah, mine says we're live. What do you guys? What were your impressions of Sour Grapes? Sour Grapes, a documentary about wine.
Amazing. That guy
You
pulled
liked it a
that
lot?
off. Yeah, it was very good. Crazy that he was able to do that and fool so many rich, stupid people.
Does it remind you a little bit of the art documentary that we watched, The Art Fraud?
Yeah, sure.
yeah. He's
'Cause
also gonna
Replicating.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Kay.
He's also gonna remind us a lot of Billy, whatever his name is, if we do Fire. What's the name? of that?
There you go. Spoiler alert, or not spoiler
Oh,
alert, but
sorry.
great
Never mind.
segue.
I thought it was great that he could trick all the rich people.
We're
Just
gonna
like-
do the Fire Fest coming up
That's-
next week, or in 2 weeks. I think we're gonna do the Fire Fest next week. Programming note for those of you out there. BitCon. We're going to be talking about BitCon, but I'll get to that in a minute. We'll just kind of focus on Sour Grapes for the moment now. I picked this one particularly because I loved it. I loved this documentary. It's not like it's unearthing some profound knowledge. It's not, delivering on some, secret Egyptian mummy that's some great discovery. But I just thought that it was a well put together documentary. I couldn't believe that. I guess I could believe, but I was a little shocked at how much fake wine ends up in, these wine cellars. Like, what is it? What was the Koch brother name? John Koch or whatever. Steve Koch. It doesn't matter.
Forget his first name. Yeah.
Koch. What was his first name? Dick Koch.
One of them is Ed, right?
David.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, must be the younger brother. But anyway, I was surprised at how much fake wine is out there. But I guess after seeing how much fake art a few weeks ago, we talked about art forgery and how much fake art is out there. I guess I shouldn't be surprised that fake wine, anything that can be faked is probably out there,
Yep. It was amazing how this guy single-handedly drove the price of wine up to crazy levels by what he did.
Planned.
I mean, that was a big part of it,
Big plan,
and these people
right?
that have so much money and these, incredible wine cellars, they don't thousands, even, hundreds of thousands for a bottle of wine. They don't blink at it.
I like that part
until
where
they
she
find out
talked
it's
about,
fake.
yeah, where she talked about, there was one of those reporters. She talked about how it kind of ruined the old man club. Like there was kind of this like tight knit old man club of wine, of high end auctioneer wine kind of culture, and then you have this young guy throwing around money and buying the whole thing, buying the whole lot. And it was all part, it had to all been part of the plan, right? To manipulate people. First, number one, we'll drive up I don't think it was just about the fraud. It was about manipulating the whole wine market in one, and slipping a few fraudulent bottles in there. But yeah, in a way, people would call him brilliant for what he did by driving up the price of wine, by buying all of it and taking it off the market. And then there's the auction houses don't have anything to put up. That drives the price up for what's available. You can't get anything. Dude, Rudy, he bought it all up. Nobody's auctioning anything. You can't get any. You know what I mean? And you're like, well, you got to wait 3 months till they have the next batch or whatever, and the next big auction. And I could see how that played right into their plan. Then start selling it off at a higher price and slip a few for yourself.
So do you
That's
think
great.
he only did a few fakes?
I think I don't know how many did Koch brothers have? He had like 7 or 8 himself. So I would assume that it was a pretty substantial amount. I don't know
And
if
it's
it was in the
amazing
hundreds.
the typos and the incorrect dates and stuff on the labels where they weren't
Yeah.
even using that type of grape or whatever. And
And then they got a hold of
particular
his computer
year.
files. And they got a hold of his computer files, and they were like going through the bottles of wine, and they're like, I know this is a Rudy bottle because I have the template for the label right here.
I'd like to sit down and have a glass of wine with Rudy because he sounds like a fascinating person. He
one of the
really
things
just
that you're right, spot on. You're spot on with that. One of the things that Jack and I didn't really include in when we did our clips was the friendship that he had with a lot of the people in the wine industry,
Exactly.
and how
he charmed the pants off of him.
Yeah, and I
Got
think
the
you have a
money
really
out
good
of
point.
him.
I bet you he would be really fun to go wine tasting with. You know what I mean? He seems like a bubbly fellow. I guess that'd be more champagne if he was bubbly, but he seemed like a jolly good fellow to have and he was, for a lot of people. He's like, I just can't believe it. Like, I drank so many of these amazing bottles, legit bottles of wine with Rudy. Like, I couldn't imagine why. In the way he talked about wine and knew wine and appreciated the culture, he's the last person I would have ever suspected there. And that's where lies the con, right? He's the last person that we'd ever suspect. And we let our guard down.
Go ahead.
Billionaire Boys Club?
Billionaire Bill Koch spent at least $2.1 million on 219 bottles of wine he believed to be fake. God.
200. Okay, that's much bigger than my estimate. So that's just one person with 200. So yeah, it's prolific. He got what? How much million? 2 million?
2.1 million. He spent 2.1 million on 219 bottles.
And Rudy's sending all this money back to Jakarta. Rudy's sending all his money back to Jakarta. That's the other part. So he's not in this alone. But
his palate is what was able to pull it off.
That's what I think. Like, he had that skill set that allowed him to pull that off.
Mixing cheap California wines together and taking it to be really expensive.
I mean, that's exactly what he was doing. Burgundy. That's exactly what he was. He was mixing and matching to simulate tastes and profiles that he'd have previously. Like, he'd leave notes about, this one tastes a lot like whatever wine, if you added this wine to it, you could probably replicate that flavor. So he was definitely, and the other part, like when he's emailing restaurants, can you save me your empty bottles? I'll pick them up for you or whatever. Oh, and just
Right.
leave the corks in and leave any sediment. Leave that too. Don't clean them. He wanted,
Oh
you
my
know, he wanted everything.
Didn't he say he was gonna start a museum or something with those?
Yeah, I forget what. That's probably
That's
right.
what he told the restaurants. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Well, the lengths that people will go to. His house was a production line of wine bottles, and I kind of
Label
appreciated that.
making.
I like manifesting things. Like I like working on projects and art things and stuff that you know, not necessarily crafts, but things that you get your hands in. And I like to manifest things. I think the art of creating is really interesting. So I could really appreciate his. Okay, we'll soak these wine bottles. We'll get the labels off. You know, like in full, and then I don't know if he was reapplying them or what he was doing, but I thought it's an interesting process to see how he was going about, you know, forging. You would think he would have been a little bit more accurate. You can't
They did
find,
find Elmer's glue on the back of the labels.
yeah, you put an Elmer's glue on there and just
Can't you just see him loading up his antique paper to make his new wine labels and gluing them on the bottles with Elmer's glue?
see, I think what he should have done, Rudy, this is where you went wrong, is that you should have drank those bottles, right? You should have put something really good in there and then drank those bottles with customers. Like this is what I'm going to open for being a good customer. You know what I mean? You use it as a freebie that you all drink, and you don't ever let anyone take the bottle, right? You're like, oh my God, he opened a $10,000 bottle of wine with us. What a cool guy, right? But you never let the evidence leave your hands. You know what I mean? You just like froof people up with that. Does that make sense to you?
Well, how
I think
can
he
he
did
make all
do
the
that.
money?
How did he what?
How could he make all that money then?
Well, he's just greasing the wheels. You know what I'm saying? Like then people are a little looser with their cash because Rudy's going to get you back. He's going to share these wines with you anyway. Buy this whole case. He's going to end up opening a $10,000 bottle of wine to celebrate. So you should make this deal. You know what I mean? Like you're just greasing the wheels a little bit. But my point is he flew too close to the sun and his wax melted. The wax on the bottles of
Yeah.
wine.
The Elmer's glue. Yeah.
The Elmer's glue melted.
Wax.
Maybe he got wet. Maybe he did. He flew too low, too close to the salt water, and his Elmer's glue melted all over, and his wings were no more. His wings made of wine. Rudy crashed and burned. But what these
Did
people
he
are up
get
to.
like 5
What did they do?
years? Did he get 5 years? I can't remember the end.
He didn't get a lot of time, and then he was deported.
Deported. Yeah.
Yeah. It was deported. Yeah, it must be something to be locked up in a foreign prison. I knew someone who was locked up in a foreign. It's a story for another time. It's kind of funny, but it wasn't funny for him, but it's funny for me.
I think he
10
also had to pay back millions, didn't he?
But the problem with that is he'd have to. How are they going to recoup that if he lives in Indonesia and they don't have any arm? Unless he opens like
Right.
a bank account at an American bank, I don't think there's any
Right.
arm of,
No
there's
way
no
of
arm of law
recouping
that
it.
can reach him. So yeah, he owes $23 million, but it's never going to be
Right.
recouped.
He got
Yeah,
10 years sentence.
10
Oh.
years. Damn.
But it doesn't say how much of that he served.
I think he served all of it.
He was released on November 7th, 2020, handed
Whoa.
over to immigrations and deported to Indonesia. He'd been living in the United States illegally since 2003.
Yep.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Well, and that's why he never wanted to leave the country. They were like, let's go to France, If you're into wine, you're into all these, Burgundy
Right.
wines, let's go. And he always had an excuse not to go because he knew he could never get back into the U.S.,
Right.
which is the majority of immigration problems are people coming over in the airplanes and overstaying their visas. But that's a story for another time as well. Any particular aspect that stuck out to this documentary? Any story about Rudy or anything that you felt interesting, notable? Does it make you want to drink wine? Does it make you want to drink wine?
You know, I used to like wine. I'm not so big on wine anymore.
Me
Drink a
too.
little
Ditto.
bit now and then, but
I'm also in that
Just don't-
category that I used to really be into wine, and now I just don't. Well, I don't really drink it that much anymore at all. So it's not just wine. It's just I just don't drink alcohol much anymore at all. But
Yeah, ditto. I
I think if
And
I was
you're
gonna
right.
have one, I'd probably grab like a whiskey over a wine. If I was just gonna have one, just for like at a party or something, I think I'd probably reach for
Jameson.
a whiskey. No, I think we
Yeah.
can do better than that.
Oh, what would you get?
Oh, I don't know. You got to get like some 14 year or something and sipping some. If I'm only having one, then I can
Some
spend.
Macallan?
Yeah, I've had that before.
Or I
Those
don't
are
know.
good.
Are you a Scotch drinker?
Some Scotch. What did I have last time? It was so good. It was cognac aged bourbon, I think, or something. Oh my god!
Oh,
It was
God.
out of this world.
I like
It was-
cognac.
It was so sweet. Like it was like one of the sweetest whiskeys I've had. No, it's not sweet, but for a whiskey, it was
Yeah.
on the sweeter end. Yeah,
mm,
Yeah. Not
but
bourbon.
wine is good. Wine is good. My friend actually grew up in Burgundy, so he lives right near there. He would tell me stories about drinking wine there, and yeah, it's a beautiful area. I would like to get to there someday. Like checking out that region would just be fantastic. Checking out. Then again, I'd like to go to Napa Valley and do some wine tasting. That would be fun because it's such a beautiful countryside, and then you can just like stop every couple miles for another winery and check it out, and it sounds like a nice day. But overall, this one was really fun for me, and I know this wasn't like a new documentary. It wasn't on Netflix or anything, but I picked it because we did the one on the art forgery, and then it reminded me of this, and I thought, you know what, I just wanted to share it. I thought it was fun, so this was more of one of my picks. So I hope you guys enjoyed it.
I
Yeah,
did
it was-
enjoy it. Yeah.
It was great. I had seen it, I mean, years ago, I guess.
My friend opened a bottle of wine with his shoe one time. Have you ever seen this?
With this shoe?
No.
I'm sure there's videos on YouTube. So you can, take the wrapper off. So it's just the cork is there. And then you put the bottom of the wine in your shoe. Nice big rubber sole, the better. Bigger
Oh,
sole,
and
the better. And then you kind of like hit it
and
against a pole or something. And the cork will start to slowly
Yeah.
get out enough. And then you can get it out enough where you can pull it out. So yeah, I've seen someone open a bottle of wine with a shoe. I was like, what? I'll open it with my shoe. But then I saw the same fool try to do it at a party. And he's at a party and he's kind of drunk. And I'm going to open a wine bottle with my shoe. And he put it in there. And he did it on the concrete. And it just went boosh.
Lord.
And it just broke in his shoe.
He opened it.
He opened it. I was, yeah, same thing.
He did say that. And then he was like drinking it out of his shoe. I don't want to waste it. I was like, oh my God, I got to get this guy out of here. I think I had to take him to
dude.
the. Yeah,
Have
it was-
some
it was-
glass in your intestines there.
It was bad. You don't want to
Oh,
waste it.
yeah.
I was like, you're going to be wasted if your intestines are going to be wasted.
Yeah.
So very cool on this one. We briefly mentioned at the top what we're going to take a look at next week, and that is the Firefest documentary. I'm sorry, BitCon. I'm sorry, BitCon. We're doing BitCon.
Oh, BitCon.
BitCon is coming next time. I'm sorry. And then after that, after BitCon, then we'll do Firefest. But
I'm excited about Firefest. That is a lot to talk about.
well, that one was your
Yeah.
recommendation, actually. So I even in my notes I have that recommended by you. So you definitely gonna have to tell us what in the
It's
heck
been a couple
happened.
years since I've watched that. I'm gonna have to rewatch it. But yeah,
Yeah, not a bad idea to go
it
and
was
check it out.
crazy.
It's insane.
Crazy.
Um,
Scammers.
Yeah, scammers. But you guys didn't see BitCon yet, though, did you?
Not yet.
No, is that a one episode or is that more
It's a
than
one and done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Oh,
one and
cool.
done. So, yeah, I think if you don't have to know anything about Bitcoin to watch this. You don't have to like Bitcoin. This is kind of the negative side. I think especially when Bitcoin first started, it was up and down,
But
and it was scammy,
you
and
should-
everybody was getting scammed.
But you should understand it if you're gonna invest. You know,
Well,
I
absolutely.
think a lot of people invested that really didn't understand.
Yeah, I think it happens a lot because people just want to chase it. They're like, "Oh, you made money off of that? I don't care. I don't need to know anything about it. Like,
Right.
you just want to make money." But cool. So yeah, next week we'll talk about BitCon. So check that one out. That's streaming on Netflix right now. This guy in the middle that you're seeing on the screen right now, he is, for someone who's not a murderer, he's like one of the worst characters that I've ever seen in a documentary. Like,
Wow.
he's the worst person that I have reviewed on this podcast that isn't a murderer or a rapist. I'll put it to you that way. I loathe this person. Like, that's how much of a reaction you got out of me from this guy. So if you want to hate on someone, crack yourself a beer, sit back in the chair, and get ready, because this guy, I forget what his name is. I'm so bad with names, and we switch there's a new names every week, so I forget. But that guy, he's one of the main characters of BitCon, and he drives me absolutely up the wall.
Reminds me of
So you
that
got
guy that raised the price of what was it? The price of a drug.
Oh, that's another documentary, isn't it? The guy who raised the price of drugs,
Yeah, to
asthma drug or
insane.
something. Yeah,
And
jerks.
yeah. Yeah. Despicable.
Well, Despicable You, not the Despicable Me, the Despicable You. Well, I guess that's it for just a short one, I guess. I don't have a lot to add to Sour Grapes other than I like it, and I hope you guys go and check that out. And the video, I posted the video review as well out there. Yeah, sorry we missed last week. Life's getting busy. Life's getting busy right now. So unfortunately, maybe we'll have to, probably miss some more time in the future, but it's okay. Real life takes precedent over podcast life, so that's just the way it is. Before we go, though, what's going on in your worlds, Katie and Susan? Or Katie, we'll go first. What's going on in your world?
I'm still trying to get my mother's house painted. Going to take a trip down to Texas this weekend to hang out with our friends who moved down there, watch some football.
Foosball.
I don't know. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Susan?
Go Chiefs. Oh, I've just been following the Delphi trial, and
that. Me too.
Regrettably, I followed Sarah Boone's trial. I'm sorry I wasted all that time. But yeah, the reviews or the recaps of the day, since they have no cameras in the courtroom, we're relying on some YouTube lawyers that are there present in the courtroom taking notes and then giving us a recap. You know, they're 4, 5, 6 hours long, so it's a lot, but just incredible trial, just unbelievable, just head scratching and wow, just
It
wow.
really is absolutely insane what they've done to that man. You know, they arrested him 5 years after these girls were murdered. And, you know, he initially came forward and said, hey, he was out there and offered, you know, just trying to be helpful, you know, hoping that,
All the girls, yeah.
and, you know, I think really that they decided to arrest someone right before the sheriff election because, you know, that looks good politically. If you can get someone arrested.
Yeah, they just
I always thought
railroaded them.
you know the
Nowhere.
video that famous video they have of the guy walking or whatever on the
Yeah,
tracks?
bridge guy. Yeah.
I always thought it was the guy from Pawn Stars. It looks like the guy.
It looks like a million guys. I mean,
That's crazy.
Pawn Stars. Yeah.
It does look like, now that you see it, right? You know what I'm talking about?
They held that guy in prison,
Like even
in administrative segregation, like the whole basically.
For almost 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, you don't hold people in seg more than 30 days. It'll make you go insane in 30 days. 2 years he lost, well, you can see how much weight he lost because you can't get any extra food in seg. You know, it's just what they serve you, and you can't have anything extra.
They started involuntarily injecting him with Halidol as well.
Yeah, I think
Which
they
is
were just trying to
meds.
loosen him up so that he would confess. I also heard that they were tasing his hands to like torturing him. I wonder why he would confess if he's being tortured.
And he was watched 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Turn the lights out. Ever.
Yeah, never turn the lights out. But
Oh.
I've heard that that everyone in administrative seg is under constant surveillance. Anyway, that's an interesting one. I wish we could see the whole trial.
Yeah.
I would love to hear the DNA testimony that happened today. But
crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. I look forward to the defense's case.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So speaking of looking forward, I'm going to drop some November documentaries. It looks like we're going to take in the next few weeks. We'll take a look at the Firefest documentary, and we're going to check out Man on the Run. We're going to check out
What is that one about?
Man on the Run. I forget, and I started watching it, and I couldn't tell you a goddamn thing about it.
Okay. I'm not familiar with that
Welcome
one.
to my world.
Which is awesome.
Dear Zachary, which is also another Katie recommendation. We have that one down.
Wow, that's wild.
And then we're going to record actually a movie, and we're going to record the Big Lebowski we're going to do for Thanksgiving special.
Oh, cool.
I don't know why there's no correlation. I mean, there is the Sabbath, and
it's a classic.
So we're gonna do that, and that's coming up over the next few weeks. So for those of you out there listening, and
hey, there's correlation. The correlation is it's about friendship.
There you go. There you go.
I don't know. That's always what I'm thankful for at Thanksgiving. So
Donnie, who loved bowling,
only correlates for me.
Well, thank you for correlating.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming
Johnny.
along to correlate, and we'll correlate again next week, and we'll talk about BitCon. So if you guys haven't checked that one out yet, make sure you check out BitCon.
Sounds good, Jeff.
Sounds excellent to me. So for Katie and Susan, this is Jeff saying this has been Documentary Club. We'll see you guys on the next one.